Gangs of predominantly British, Pakistani, Afghan and Bangladeshi men have been raping vulnerable working-class white girls on an industrial scale, and the police have been too afraid of being called racist to act. And it's still happening. How many girls were drugged, raped, murdered or had their lives destroyed because of police indifference? There would be riots on the streets if this was happening the other way around. There would have been marches, demonstrations, it would have kicked off big time. Our left-wing politicians would have been falling over themselves to call it out in Parliament, and the police probably wouldn't have let it happen in the first place. In reality, there are serious questions over whether Labour tried to sweep this epidemic under the carpet. But no, because these girls are white and have had difficult starts in life, they're not seen as worthy. You know what? That's racism. Welcome to Britain, where working-class white girls can be treated as sex slaves, impregnated, put in cages and forced to act like dogs, battered, murdered and trafficked by gangs of predominantly British, Pakistani and other South Asian men, and the perpetrators are treated better than their victims. A damning new report, which comes after a series of other damning reports, reveals how local council officials and Greater Manchester Police left young girls to be brutalised. They ignored the warning signs. A young girl went to the home of a guy called Mohammed Yaqub. He injected her with heroin, apparently, and she died 5 days later. 3.5 years he got, cleared of manslaughter. Just 2 of 100 suspects were jailed. An Asian man who raped a 13-year-old girl didn't go to prison for that. No action was reportedly taken against a pimp who got a 15-year-old girl pregnant, while another child claimed that she was kept locked in cages and made to act like a dog or a baby, with again no action being taken against the men allegedly involved. One girl was threatened with a gun before she went to give evidence in a trial. Victims were worried about being kidnapped and sent to Pakistan, which is ironic because we've had real trouble sending some people back to Pakistan. Kwari Rao, 54, Adil Khan, 53, were convicted along with 7 other men of grooming and gang raping 47 girls as young as 12 and pimping them out to other predators. They were given a few years in prison, naturally, told that they'd be deported, and here we are nearly 12 years on, and as far as I'm aware, they're still in the country. This is not just a few bad apples. Rochdale, Rotherham, Keighley, Newcastle, Aylesbury, Peterborough, Oxford, Bristol, Telford. And I will bet my bottom dollar that this is happening in every major town and city in the UK. Please lecture us more about white privilege and about racism. The only privilege here, as far as I can see it, is that that's been given to British, Pakistani and other South Asian men who can carry on with their lives as normal after raping young girls. The only racism here is towards the white girls who were seen as worthless. Now, I want to make a very important point here. There are paedophiles everywhere. People will be shouting at their television screens right now saying, Jimmy Savile was white. What about the Catholic Church? Absolutely. And we should call every single one of those out, OK? But let's deal with today's report, OK? Let's deal with the matter in hand here. And the fact is that this country, for decades and still today, does appear to have a problem with certain elements of the Pakistani and Asian community abusing predominantly working-class white girls on an industrial scale. And our politicians and police have, in my view, been more concerned about not wanting to stoke racial tensions than they have been about actually sorting the problem out. Many people skirt around this issue, but is it not reasonable to have an open conversation about whether certain nefarious minority elements of the British Muslim community appear content to take part in a grooming gang epidemic? Our politicians and police, in many cases, traded the lives of young girls for an easier life themselves, in my view. I think that's shameful. I think it's a stain on Britain. And many people, I think, have blood on their hands.